Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be chatting through all of the books that I read in the month of September. And it feels like the beginning of September was like a lifetime ago. It feels like it's been a month of different parts. Like it's been a long month. But in the month I read 8 books, coming to a total of 4,047 pages. So a great reading month. And great in terms of quality, quantity, the whole lot. And I did start a 9th book. Out of these, 7 of the books were fantasy, 1 was sci-fi, and the one that I have started is also a sci-fi. 5 of the books were adult and 3 were YA. There were 2 5 stars, 4 4 stars. There are some like 4.25, some like 4, some like 3.75. I've just lumped them all together in 4 stars, 1 3 star and 1 2 star. Out of these, in terms of my series, I started 3 new series, one of which I will not be continuing. I continued in 3 series and I finished 1. I did a video on asking your opinions on series that I should DNF or not finish. And because of that, I have decided to move along from some of those series. So only one of those 5 series will be continued, I believe, for now, which brings my on the go to 27, because although I did start a few, I also relegated a few. So on the go total 27, and the majority of those are ones where I cannot actively continue because I'm waiting for the next book. So those are the stats. I do want to highlight as well that in my August wrap-up I mentioned that I had started The Reluctant Queen, but at the time of filming I hadn't finished it. I did end up finishing that in August on the very last day. I did read the 3rd book in that series this month, so I think I will just compile my thoughts all together when I talk about that 3rd book. To start, I guess I'm going to run through everything chronologically in the order that I read them. Thought that made the most sense this month. For the first week, I did a lot of reading in the first week of September. The first week I went on holiday to Greece, and I have a whole vlog where I talk through the books that I read in Greece, but also the experience that I had and some videos of being on holiday and roads. I wasn't the most active of vloggers when I was there, so they're not the most detailed thoughts, but there are some thoughts in that video on 4 of these books. In that week, I tried to focus on reading lots of the arcs that I had on NetGalley. So the first book that I read was The Last Graduate, which is the 2nd book in the Scholomance series by Naomi Novik. I read A Deadly Education last year and I liked it. I didn't love it. And I'd say I have a very similar experience with The Last Graduate. I'd say that for me, my opinions on the series haven't really changed. I liked it, but don't love it. But I'm definitely intrigued to see where the 3rd book and the finale goes. I think that's where I stand. So in this series you're following main character Elle, and she is at a school which all of the young go to this school, but this school is targeted by lots of monsters because they're like a honeypot for them. They are attracted to these magical children, and so these children or teenagers have to try and survive. It's you graduate or you die type thing. And so this continued in the same vein as the first book. I think I really like the characters, and I do like the exploration of the characters in this book. My struggle is a little bit with the writing style and the way that it is paced. I feel like every now and again you get into a scene and then suddenly there is a tangent which, although interesting, isn't necessarily necessary. And so it sort of detracts a little bit away from the plot. And so it seems a little bit clunky, I would say. And the thing is, I've read some Naomi Novik books before. I've read both Uprooted and Spinning Silver, and I'd say it's quite a different writing style that she is using with this series compared to what I've seen her writing style like in her previous books. I haven't read the Temeraire series. I do own Temeraire, but it is unread currently, so I can't compare it to that. But yeah, I'm definitely intrigued to see what happens in the final book. It has like the first one, they both have sort of a pull, they are cliffhangers, but they have something that makes you want to go, I want to know what's going to happen next. So I definitely will see what happens in the 3rd book. And I'd say whatever your thoughts were on the first book, if you liked it, then you'll probably like the second one. If you loved it, you'll probably love the second one. If you didn't like the first one, you're not going to like the second one. I don't think it doesn't change anything from what the first book did. Then I read Midnight in Everwood by M.A. Kuznia. Oh, and I loved it. Oh, I loved this one. Although I was in a really hot country, this book is very much winter. It is winter, so my setting did not match the book at all. I think this would be the perfect book to read at Christmas, or like with a fire going, yeah, you know, covered in blankets. It is wintry. Like, I could imagine reading it in the mountains, in snow. Like, that would be the perfect setting. So not where I was, but I loved it. I felt like I was transported to this snowy setting. I believe this has been marketed as adult, at least here in the UK, but I think it would suit a YA audience better, just in terms where I would put it, and based on my tastes. And so this is a Nutcracker retelling. It is set both in our world in the 1900s and also this fantastical realm. I don't know what it was. It has tropey elements. It was a bit cliche, but it really just was transportive and magical. I was transported, and I was reading this and I was like at 60%, and then suddenly I was at 90%, and I hadn't even realised where the time had gone. I was just so into this story. So I don't know necessarily who to recommend it to. I don't think it will work for those that predominantly read epic adult fantasy. I think it will suit those that do read YA every now and again, but also they can also do read adult, but just making sure that it goes to the right market. I just found it so transportive. It was just a lot of wintry fun. And then I wanted to have a little break from the arcs, and I read Heart of Flames by Nikki Palpretto. This is the second book in the Crown of Feathers series. I've been reading this alongside Vish from Books with V. She is doing a buddy read for this whole trilogy and then doing live shows on each one. So the live show for the first book and both live shows are up now for the first and the second book. So I will link those if you're interested in them. I have really been enjoying this series. I would say it is a good place if you're wanting to move up from YA to adult. This is definitely YA, but I'd say it's on the upper side because of the world building. I think it has the world building that you would find in an adult book, that it is an extensive world, and you do find out a lot of the history and the lore, and so I really like that. I also really like that it is a multiple POV story. For me, this one I'd say is weaker than the first book because I think it was a bit too long. This was like 600 odd pages, and it did drag a little bit in places. I think that the second half was a lot stronger than the first half. The first half, there was a lot of setting things up. There was more like character development. And the thing is, I liked that. It depends what you like in books, but I do think that it could have been shortened a little bit, that it was a little bit dragged out compared to the second half, where it definitely picked up, and there was definitely I was on the edge of my seat a lot more for the second half of the book. Overall though, I really enjoyed it. I really do like the writing style. I really like the characters. I like that it is multiple perspective. I do like the animal companions because the main characters are phoenix riders, and I do really like that aspect of the different animals. And you definitely explore a lot more of the characters in this. You do have additional POVs, which I really enjoyed getting to know them and seeing the story from different perspectives. I'm very intrigued to see where the third book goes. Holding this book up, I'm now like, oh, I really want to read the third one and find out what happens, find out how it concludes. Okay, and then the final book that I read in a day. I read a book in a day. I don't even know how I did that. So the final book which I read during that week was pretty much read on the final day, like as we were leaving on the plane home, and I just kept reading and reading until the book was done, and that was Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I have read all of the Caraval series by her. This is set in the same world. I would definitely say that I think you could read it without having read Caraval, but I think you will have a better perspective of it if you have read the Caraval series. I mean, I really liked Caraval. I know it seems to be a pretty divisive series. It seems like some people really hate it, some people really love it. I really enjoyed it. I don't know. I really liked it. It's fun. And that's how I describe Once Upon a Broken Heart. It was a lot of fun. It was very, it was very easy to read. I read the whole thing in a day. I was completely transported by it. I mean, it's not a favourite book of all time, but I did find it really fun and sort of classic fairy tale-esque. And it just has lots of tropes that I really enjoy. I liked the Magic Kingdoms, I liked the romantic interest, I liked the sort of magic and the curses and the prophecy, and I liked all of those aspects. So it just ticked a lot of boxes for me, and the writing style was just compulsively readable. And I think I found the same thing with the Caraval series. It is compulsively readable. Like, you do just want to keep reading it, which is sometimes that's just what you need. You just need something that you can completely just read and not stop. And that didn't require like loads of brain power. But what I didn't realise is that it is a start of a series, because I don't think it had a number by it, at least when I read it on Goodreads. So I did not realise that it was the first book, and then it had a cliffhanger, and I was like, oh, you're not a standalone. Oh, okay. So it is the start of a series. I will definitely be continuing as and when the second book comes out, because I did find it a lot of fun. I would like to thank Nat Gelly for those 3 arcs that I managed to read in that week. All 4 of those books fitted into my Bookoplathon TBR that I have been doing for the month of September. So The Last Graduate was for book under 300 pages. The Midnight in Everwood was for opulent. Heart of Flames was for LGBTQI plus rep, and Once Upon a Broken Heart was for highest rated. So I managed to read 4 of my Bookoplathon books all within that first week, and I was feeling very accomplished. And then the other 2 books were buddy reads, so I had to put a pause on that because my buddies were not ready, so I went and just read whatever I wanted to read. At this point, I started the audiobook for The Queen of Sorrow, the 3rd book in the Queens of Renthia series by Sarah Beth Durst. I really enjoyed listening to these books on audiobook. I read the first one, I think, on Kindle, and the second and third I listened to the audiobook, the second one being right at the end of August, and the 3rd book in September. I really liked the series. I really liked it. I don't feel as though I have a lot to say on it, apart from that it was solid. I don't really know whether to say it is YA or adult. I believe in some places it is marketed as adult. I found that although there were some adult characters, because particularly in the second book, the focus is on a mother character, a lot of the writing style felt very YA to me. So it seemed to maybe just bridge the gap between the 2 demographics. That there are some adult themes, but it also reads quite YA, quite young, in terms of the writing style. But overall, I really liked the trilogy. I enjoyed it. I know that there is like differing opinions on the 3rd book and the ending. There was like a romance that appeared in the 3rd book that I didn't root for. It appeared very out of the blue, which would be my big critique of the 3rd book. But overall, I was happy with the ending. It is a bit more open and definitely leads to thinking that she could continue in the world if she wanted to, or it's more just that the life goes on. Life goes on. It's not like tied up with a neat bow. It's just there is more that can happen in the future. But overall, I really enjoyed the trilogy and would definitely recommend it. I then read Dune by Frank Herbert. I read this because I wanted to go read this and then go see the film when it comes out later on in October. I do have a full review up of Dune. I don't want to get too much into my detailed thoughts here. Overall, there are aspects of this that I really like. I really like some of the themes that it explored, but I was not a massive fan of the characterization, and so there are certain aspects that really brought my enjoyment down. I do want to thank everyone that left a very respectful comment on my review, because it hasn't, I don't even know, but thank you to anyone that was respectful. If you do want to hear more of my more spoilery thoughts, I will link it. But yes, the end of it is that I was not a massive fan, unfortunately. I am definitely interested to see how the film modernises this story, and I will definitely be going to watch it. And I am happy that I've read it and can now say that I have read this and can see how it has influenced the sci-fi genre. I also read The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. This was the self-published INS pick for the month of September, so I read this. I liked it, didn't love it, but I really liked it, and I really liked what it was doing. So this is a dark academia book. You're following 6 characters, you get their different perspectives all the way throughout. I really liked the setting, and that they are competing for a place within this Alexandrian society. They're competing, that there are 6 of them but there's only 5 places. The sort of exploration of their magic, that they each have different skills and they're meant to be like the best at their skills. So I really liked those aspects of it, and I really liked the way that we got to know the characters, and that we did have these different perspectives, and that these were how these were explored. I felt for me that I had a bit of a distance to the book, and I never fully connected to it. I don't know if that might just be completely on me. When I was reading this, for the first 150 pages, I didn't have a lot of time to read, so I was reading it very sporadically, 10 pages here and there. And I think that because I wasn't able to just sit down and read, that prevented me from fully getting into the story, and that's completely on me and not at all on the book. That it was my, I don't know, issue with not having time to read. But when I did have time to read, so from the 150 page mark on, I pretty much binged the second half of the book, and I'd say that my enjoyment definitely grew in that second half as I had the time where I could dedicate myself to reading it. So yes, I also do really like that there are illustrations throughout the book of the different characters, which was just really, really fun. And yeah, I'm definitely intrigued to see where this is going to go. I know that this has just been picked up. This was self-published and it has just been picked up by Tor. So that's really, really exciting for Olivia, that she now has a publishing deal for the rest of this series. So yes, and I would recommend it, especially if you are after a dark academia book, particularly in October. It would definitely fit if you do read seasonally, then it would definitely fit the October vibe. And then the final book that I finished in the month of September was The Blackest Heart by Brian Lee Durfee. This was thoroughly enjoyable. I mean, it's gigantic. Once again, when I started this, I didn't have so much time to read, unfortunately, but then I really did power through the last 700 pages or whatever. So I really, really enjoyed this. This is the second book in the 5 Warrior Angels series, the first book being The Forgetting Moon, which I read in August. I have buddy read this with my friend Sam and Joanna, and I think we have all enjoyed it. As of finishing this, I think Sam's finished it, and I think Joanna still has a little bit to go, but I believe we all really, really enjoyed this. For me, I think it is on par with the first book. I think going in, I'd heard that this one was better than the first book, but I think it's on par. It's not quite a 5 stars. There's something, I think I've marked this as 5 stars, but it's more like a 4.5. There's just something, but it's hard to pinpoint exactly what it is. I think, potentially, it felt like, I don't know if this is really a critique, because there's a third book, so I will get answers, but it felt like there was a lot of elements all going in. The analogy that I think Sam used was it's a cake, and you've got the mix and you keep putting more and more things into the cake, but the cake's not going in the oven, and so you're not getting the answers, which I guess we will get the answers at some point, but maybe I would have wanted at least some sort of answer. I don't know, maybe that's being really, really picky. It just felt like we were getting more, it was just expanding more and more and more, and I was like, but I need an answer, I need something, tell me something. So I'm just I just need a reveal. I need the reveal. But yes, I'm really excited for book 3. I don't know how it's going to get wrapped up in one book. I believe it's going to be even big. This was 900 pages. I believe it's going to be even bigger, and that it's coming out next summer. And I'm just scared that I'm going to forget details, because these are not going to be quick books to reread at all, because they're so big. Yeah, I just need book 3. I just need it. I just need book 3. Thoroughly enjoyed this. There are definitely characters, we got some new perspectives in here, and there are definitely characters that grew on me. There were some that I wasn't a massive fan of in the first book, and actually I now don't mind them. I actually quite like them. So there was definitely some character growth, and yeah, I just really like the world, the writing style, the characters. Although some of them aren't the most likeable, I'm but I for some reason like you. I think even with the ones that aren't likeable, I can connect to them because I can understand them, and so you can see where they're coming from. But there are definitely some characters where I'm I want to know what you're thinking. Why can I have your perspective too? Because I want to know if I can trust you or not. But yeah, just really, really interesting. It's just a great subversion of lots of tropes. Really continuing to enjoy the prophecy and the religious aspect and the twists and the turns that are going on. There are twists. I'm what is going on? What is going on? I will say in the first book it felt like there was one scene that was particularly brutal and grim, whereas this one it feels as though the grimness is spread throughout the book, that there, as opposed to that one where I could say, oh, it was this chapter that was particularly brutal and the rest of it just felt like an epic fantasy. This one, it feels quite brutal all the way through. There are multiple chapters throughout where I was like, ew. There wasn't I think that scene in the first book is still the most brutal and the one that made me go ugh, whereas this one there was just multiple smaller ughs. if that's how you can describe a grimdark book. But yeah, I'd say that there are more grimdark elements within this. And I also did really like, there was a setting where and it's a place where I think it's, I don't know, but I think it's mirrored off of a real world place called Mont Saint-Michel, which is in France, and it's a island that you can walk between at low tide, and there is a setting in here that you can walk between these two places when the tide is low, and then when tide's high it comes over very quickly and suddenly it is awash with water and you can't walk between them anymore. And so there is that setting in here, and it just really reminded me of Mont Saint-Michel in France, and I was like, I've been there, and so I could really picture it. It was really vivid for me in my imagination because it was a place that I've been. And I don't know if that is the place or if there are other places like that within the real world, but that is what I was imagining. And so yeah, those scenes were just so vivid for me. And that was on my Bookoplathon, that was for colour in the title. I did not get to my 6th Bookoplathon book, unfortunately, which was Night Study by Mary V. Snyder. I have started it though. I've started it on the 1st of October. I just got a bit delayed. I went a bit rogue because I was waiting for my buddy readers, and then by the time my buddy readers were ready, my life got in the way. And I was particularly busy in the second half of the month. So unfortunately I did not get to that 6th and final book, but I am reading it now, so it's just been pushed a little bit. The other book that I have started but not finished is Stories of Your Life and Others by Ted Chiang. I picked this up in my local charity shop the other week, and I started reading it straight away. These are short stories, so I read the first one as soon as I picked it up. And then I had an event with work and I couldn't take, at the time I was reading The Blackest Heart, and I was like, I can't take this on the bus. This is far too heavy to take on the bus. So I did not take this, but I took this with me and I read another one of the short stories, and in total I've read 3 of the short stories so far. So I'm about 100 pages through. So I've read about a third of them. But I'm really, really enjoying this. They definitely make you think, and I definitely plan to finish the rest of this collection in the month of October. But so far they're really easy to read, like they don't take long to read, but they have been sticking with me, and I've been really mulling them over, like after finishing them. Like I'll be going about my day randomly and suddenly I will start thinking about this short story. So they really are making me think. But yeah, just really, really intriguing short stories. So those are all of the books that I have read in the month of September. In terms of my puzzle, oh guys, I finished my puzzle. I finished it. So this is the puzzle that I've been working on for what feels like a very long time. This is the 6,000 piece puzzle, and I finished it. I will put a video of it here. And oh, this puzzle, it was so fun to do. And I feel a little bit bereft now that it's finished. I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, I've been working on this puzzle for so long. Like, this puzzle has taken over my life because I've been working on it for so long, and it's so beautiful and it looks amazing. I don't want to like scrunch it all up, because normally I just like do the puzzle, scrunch it all up, put it back in the box. Whereas I'm like, how am I meant to scrunch this puzzle up that I've spent months working on? But yeah, it has been a joy to work on this puzzle. I'm questioning what puzzle I should be doing next. Especially because this has been like a good chunk of my 2021 that I've been working on this puzzle. Yeah, it'll be good, I think, to go back to doing some 1,000 piece puzzles, some smaller ones, because I don't think I realised how long this would take me. Because when I think about it, I can do a 1,000 piece puzzle in a couple of days, and this took me months. And I was like, well, why would it take me months? It's only 6 times a 1,000 piece puzzle. But when you have that many pieces, it was definitely a lot more challenging than I anticipated, but it was a lot of fun. And yeah, so if you have any puzzle recommendations, then let me know. I do not have an October TBR this month. I have done TBRs for the past 2 months, and I think that's a little, I need a little break from TBRs. My aim for October is to mood read, but I do have quite a few finales to get to. There are multiple series where I just have the final book to read, so I do really hope to get to some sequels. So those are a little bit of my aims, that to finish Stories of Your Life. I have started my reread of The Hobbit, and then just sequels. So let me know what you read in the month of September, what your favourite book was. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!